Hello, welcome to Road to Lok Sabha, Mirna special on everything beyond the political cacophony this election season. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. We're already done with 4 phases and we're moving towards phase 5 on the 20th of May. 49 seats, 6 states and 2 union territories go to polls in phase 5. The last remaining seats in Maharashtra vote on the 20th of May. Uttar Pradesh goes to polls with crucial constituencies like Amethi and Raebareli. Along with them, West Bengal, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, as well as Bihar, Odisha and Jharkhand vote in phase 5. Remember, this is the smallest of the election phases that we are seeing in this 7-phase Lok Sabha elections. Let's quickly get you the details of the total number of seats and the states going to polls in phase 5. Uttar Pradesh, 14 seats are going to polls in phase 5. Important state there. Maharashtra, with 13 seats, again a very crucial state going to polls in phase 5. West Bengal has 7 important seats going to election, going to vote in phase 5. Bihar has 5, another set of important constituencies that we will see phase 5 voting on. Apart from this, Odisha with 5 seats also goes to polls in phase 5 of the Lok Sabha elections. Of course, we have Jharkhand as well, with 3 constituencies going to polls this phase. In this phase 5, that is. Jammu and Kashmir, important constituency of Baramulla, going to vote this time around in Kashmir, 1 seat going to vote in phase 5. Apart from this, Ladakh as well is going to poll. So these are the major regions, the major states and union territories going to polls in phase 5. Very important phase 5, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, of course, remain important. On the show this evening, I'm joined by my panel of guests, Madhavan Narayanan, he's a senior journalist, Varun Singh, he's a political analyst, and Piyush Tamar, he's the research head at ETG. They're all joining me on the broadcast today. Good evening, welcome. Also, I'm joined by Smita Gupta, senior journalist. She's also joining us on the broadcast today. Let's quickly go to my guests. Welcome to all of you. Good evening. Namaskar. Important phase there, of course, that we will be seeing, phase 5 of the Lok Sabha elections. But let me start with you, Madhavan Narayanan. Maharashtra remains an important state which is going to polls this time around in phase 5. Important seats there, one of the richest constituencies. Mumbai will also see polls. How do you see this time around Maharashtra's polling really panning out? Madhavan Narayanan, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, sorry. Hello.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me, Madhavan Narayanan?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry. There was some problem. Hello,
okay, so, Madhavan Narayanan, let's begin with talking about... Okay,
Yeah.
let's try and fix
Yeah,
that
I can
audio
hear you.
issue with Madhavan Narayanan. Let me go across... Okay, you can hear me now. Let's start by talking about Maharashtra, Madhavan Narayanan. The fact that it's an important state, the last remaining seats go to polls in phase 5. Mumbai, of course, an important, crucial constituency, one of the richest and varied. You have the richest candidates and, people living there in Mumbai. You've also got slum dwellers there. So a varied variety of voters who will go out and vote in phase 5 this time around.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that we call Maharashtra as one state, but for the purpose of political analysis, we should probably divide them into 4 zones, I would say. Mumbai as a city, then what is called the Maharashtra, the main Pune, Nashik, the agriculture belt. Then you have the Vidarbha, the Nagpur area, and the Marathwada area, which is dry. They are ecologically different, economically different, demographically different. So I think it's important we distinguish between them. And very obviously, in the main Marathi-speaking Maharashtra area, there's a lot of concerns over job quotas for Maratha community. But in Mumbai, the main city, there are all sorts of civics issues coming out. And although it's a national election, Mumbaikars have a strong local consciousness, and that plays a major role in their voting patterns. And also this time, of course, The Shiv Sena is split into two. That affects Mumbai politics because Shiv Sena always had a base in the main city, the metropolitan area. And you have now the Shiv Sena UBT led by Uddhav Thackeray, and then, of course, the Shinde Sena, as it's called, the other one. And then in Maharashtra, you have the NCP and the split between uncle and nephew, Sharad and Ajit Pawar. So this time it's an open game. It's a very fluid situation because for the first time, we're going to test the splits and also the uneasy but interesting alliance in which we would have never imagined in the past. Uddhav Thackeray and Rahul Gandhi and Sharad Pawar sitting on the same stage, but that is happening. So all this makes the, it's just like IPL, Mumbai Indians can't be taken for granted. There's going to be a lot of flux and ups and downs as I see it. It's not easy for anyone, including the BJP.
Okay, Sure. Let me take this across to Varun Singh. Varun Singh, the fact that there is this Mahayuddh happening between the MVA and the Mahayuti this time around, of course, it's going to reflect on the votes as well. But clearly, it's not easy going for the BJP as well. Do you think there's some sort of resentment on ground with the fact that they took in Ajit Pawar, somebody whom they spoke against earlier?
No, there is no resentment on the ground. And I'm sitting here in Mumbai and I see it not from a faraway distance. I meet people over here. I have traveled across many districts in Maharashtra, and I don't see any resentment for the Bharatiya Janata Party for inducting Ajit Pawar's NCP, or for that matter, Eknath Shinde. And there is a very simple aspect over here that is playing well, and which is that people are undermining that Maharashtra voters are very smart. They know the difference between a Lok Sabha, they know the difference between an assembly, and they know the difference between a corporation and a panchayat. So they know that if they are voting on the face of Narendra Modi, who is the prime ministerial candidate of the NDA. And here, to be honest, they are looking. There are many people, even from the MVA alliance, the supporters. They always constantly ask who will be the prime minister if the India alliance comes to power, and that is one big question that is eating into many of their supporters and many of their voters. And to be very honest, the NDA alliance over here in Maharashtra is pretty strong, and I don't see much of the Uddhav Thackeray sympathy on ground anymore. Yeah, it wouldn't be wrong for me or for anyone who is roaming Maharashtra, who is touring Mumbai and many of the constituencies, that Uddhav Thackeray has got a new voter base. Who's that new voter base? The Muslims. The Muslims that used to be averse to a Shiv Sena now do not have a problem with Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray's Shiv Sena, because they feel more connected to UBT than to Congress in many seats. For example, South Mumbai, where there are 3 lakh Muslim voters, and those Muslim voters are rallying behind Arvind Sawant, who's UBT's candidate. And at the same time, if you see the Marathis, the main core Marathi votes, that is divided now between UBT, Yamini Jadhav's Shiv Sena, and Arvind Sawant, who's contesting from UBT. So there is this big
let me take this across to Piyush
on the ground
and understand if there is indeed a shift there. Piyush, do you resonate with what Varun is saying? The fact that perhaps the Muslim vote is now inclined towards the Uddhav Thackeray camp, and there is a shift in inclination.
Yes, Ji. So I agree with Varun Ji, because what we have seen is Muslims not just because they are supporting Uddhav Ji, it's mostly because they have joined the hands with Congress. So Muslims there are supporting Congress, and we see Dalits also in fact supporting Congress. But Dalits are also split in BVA, this BVA party, and also what we see is one interesting fact what we have seen in Mumbai especially, that BJP is comfortable in Mumbai, and Eknath Shinde is not a very big factor there in Mumbai. In this Mumbai or Konkan region, I would say the fight is actually between BJP and the Uddhav. It is not Eknath Shinde. Eknath Shinde is concentrated in just the Thane region.
Okay. Okay, let me talk about the issues with you, Smita Gupta. You know, the fact that infrastructural woes has been dominating. Varun, I'll come to you. Let me just quickly go across to Smita and get her opening remarks on the issues that the voters will be looking at this time around in phase 5. Infrastructure is something that they'll be concerned about. The opening of the Mahalakshmi race course is something that they will be looking at. Pollution was another issue that concerned people around. But do you think that is going to be reflecting when they go out and vote this time around on the 20th of May?
It's difficult to say, first of all, the circumstances under which these elections are being held in Maharashtra are completely different from the previous election, simply because the two opposing alliances are composed somewhat differently from the previous time. The NCP has split, the Shiv Sena has split, and as I just heard one speaker before me saying that the Uddhav Thackeray Sena is going to, get a large chunk of the Muslim vote. There will be different reasons. People usually vote in elections for what makes them feel good, what gives them hope. So certainly things like infrastructure and things do matter, but in the ultimate analysis, it is they look to the party or group of parties that gives them hope, that gives them the sense that they will get a better life. So maybe for an urban voter, and most of the seats this
And who do
time
you
in
think is
Maharashtra, the
giving them that sort of feel right now?
are in the urban area, they are affected more by infrastructure. Now, what does an infrastructure mean? It means, do they get to their workplaces quickly? Does it mean more jobs? Because Bombay is the great big city which attracts people from the poorer parts of the country. I've just spent several weeks traveling in Uttar Pradesh, and Bombay is one of the destinations for people there who cannot find jobs there. So but most of one section which will be voting in Maharashtra, people from what is called the Purvanchal, East Bihar and Eastern UP. A lot of them have just gone back to their own constituencies to vote. But there is a section that votes in Maharashtra as well.
Madhavan Narayanan, jobs, employment, unemployment, this has been one of the major concerns, not just in Maharashtra, but across states that we are seeing. One of the reasons and one of the concerns that young voters have cited a lot, that is unemployment. That has clearly come up to be a big election issue this time around.
Yes, that's right, Shreya, but I would like to point out a unique feature of the Indian unemployment pattern. I'm going to wear the hat of an economist or an economic journalist in this because what I call, I distinguish between what I call political inflation and economic inflation, which is similarly, I distinguish between political idea of unemployment and economic idea of unemployment. The fact is that all across India now, if you take a monthly wage of say 15,000 rupees, there are lots of jobs going in various kinds of things. So livelihood is not a problem. But stable, secure jobs are a problem. And the higher the level of your skills and qualifications, the more difficult is it to get a regular job. And that is proving to be a major issue in this round of election, which is why the Congress and the India Alliance are talking about filling up all the lakhs and lakhs of government job vacancies, because people love job security and not just employment in general. And they want steady jobs, career prospects, all that. There has been a decline or slowdown in the IT industry, as you probably know already. There are threats from artificial intelligence. There are lots of engineering colleges that are turning out graduates who are not really being employed. So there's a lot of serious unemployment at certain levels. But from a voting pattern situation, for instance, I see in Uttar Pradesh, unemployment is a problem, but it's very different from, let's say, Maharashtra or other states. So electorally, I find it very difficult to come to
in fact, you mentioned Madhavan Narayanan, Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah.
Let's also shift our focus to Uttar Pradesh. That's an important state as well. and understand what the key poll issues are, and of course, very important, who the Karorpati candidates are. Let's quickly have those graphics up. It is an important battle that's panning out in the state of Uttar Pradesh as well. 14 constituencies go to vote in phase 5. There are a lot of issues. Unemployment remains one of the major issues. But let's quickly see the Karorpati candidates. A total of 14 candidates and 14 Karorpati candidates in UP from the BJP, 93%. That's the percentage that we're looking at. 10 candidates, 10 out of 10, 100% of them are Karorpati from the Samajwadi Party. BSP, you have a total of 14 candidates, out of which 10 are Karorpatis in phase 5. 71% of them, basically, of the BSP being Karorpatis. The Congress, 4 out of 4, 100% of the candidates are Karorpatis. Remember, candidates like Rahul Gandhi are also in fray. Smriti Irani is in fray in phase 5. But apart from Karorpatis, let's also quickly get you the criminal cases against the candidates who are fighting in phase 5 of the Lok Sabha elections. Out of the 14 BSP candidates, you have 5 of them who have criminal cases against them, making it 36% of the BSP candidates who have criminal cases against them in phase 5. The BJP, 4 out of the 14 candidates of the BJP have criminal cases against them, which makes it about 29% of the BJP candidates having criminal cases registered against them. Moving on to the Samajwadi Party, 5 out of 10, that's 50% of the candidates of the Samajwadi Party have cases registered against them, criminal cases registered against them. The Congress, on the other hand, 3 out of 4, 75% of the Congress candidates having criminal cases against them. So that by far is what the scene is regarding Karorpatis and criminal cases against candidates of phase 5. Let me go across to my guests. Varun Singh, UP is, of course, a very interesting battle that's going to be panning out. You've got the likes of Amethi, Rai Bareli, very, very closely watched seats. Amethi, they're saying, is, a battle that's already won. Rai Bareli, we'll have to see how it pans out. How do you see Uttar Pradesh really moving this time around?
Uttar Pradesh is an interesting state, and I belong to that state. And Amethi is my adjacent constituency at Maniti Place, so I know that constituency in and out. Hardly, and Sultanpur is the constituency where my grandfather and my paternal people vote. So in Uttar Pradesh, what works the most is caste, but there are certain VVIP seats where caste doesn't work, or else you wouldn't have an Irani from Bombay and a Gandhi from Delhi winning these seats for all these years. But one point, Shreya, I would like to mention, we were talking about employment and unemployment, and UP, we always talk about UP here sitting in Mumbai, that UP se train bhar bhar ke log aate hain. But to be honest, these days, many of the construction sites that we see here in Mumbai, they lack labor. Because many people from UP, and I know of so many people who have gone back to UP for better prospects, which is a good sign, going back to your original state. And the periodic labor force survey I have with me, which categorically states that the data says that the employment rate has increased in the country from 46% in 2017-18 to 56% in 2020 to 23. So the myth that is always created that the employment or unemployment has gone up is actually not true if you see the data. And also when you talk about the labor participation, even that has increased. So we normally say कि हाँ बहुत बेरोजगारी है, लोगों के अंदर बहुत बेरोजगारी बढ़ गया है. But when you talk about data from the government and data from other state governments, it is always very clear that employment rate in the country has increased. And you also see one more thing, Shreya, young people, they do not want to go for jobs, which, people might say, Varun is making just a random comment. No, you meet young people, they do not want to go for a job. They want to create something for themselves. And if you see the kind of mudra loans, the kind of Swanidhi Yojanas, the amount of Lakpati Didis, or all these schemes, they have helped and benefited women at rural They have helped and benefited many people in the urban populace also, which is why we don't see many people. And not everyone wants to, sorry to say, but not everyone in Maharashtra wants to have a government job. Many people over here want to have something on which they can call as their own. And that is the reason we need to redefine what employment means in today's term. We cannot be going with the same definition that used to
Okay.
be there 20
Varun,
years ago
I see
or 15
Smita
years
and
ago.
Madhavan Narayanan being very amused by what you're
I
saying. Let
know.
me first get in
Absolutely,
Smita on this.
Madhavan and I have already,
Smita,
I
go
think
ahead,
we
make
had
your point.
spoken somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, I bow to the fact that
Sure,
Varun
Smita,
Singh
please
is
go ahead,
from
make your
Uttar
point.
Pradesh, belong to Uttar Pradesh. So perhaps he has some insights which I don't have, except that from 1989, I've covered every election in Uttar Pradesh, both Lok Sabha and Assembly. Maybe I'm going gaga at this stage, but I tell you that I spent 12 days traveling the length of Uttar Pradesh. And I was surprised compared to 2022, compared to 2019, the number of young people and old people who talked about unemployment. Yes, government jobs are not, there is a tendency in the eastern part of the country for people to equate jobs with government jobs, but people have got savvier now. I There was young school teachers, government school teachers who told me that we understand the government jobs are scarce, but what about the government encouraging MSMEs to come up in across Uttar Pradesh, near the villages, near the big cities, so that people can commute short distances and live at home and not have to go right across the country to seek employment. Um, and in these kind of places, 10 to 15,000 rupees is difficult. It is not a small amount over there. It is a pretty large amount. A person may come to Delhi or Bombay and get that 10 to 15,000 quite easily. But I can assure you that in UP, it is not possible. The number of people getting educated is increasing, and there are no jobs after that. I had
Sure.
old people telling me right across the state that, listen, what is going to happen to our young people? They are not getting jobs, and at the end of it, they're just, now we see more and more of them just lolling around, getting drunk, getting onto drugs. Some of them are just joining the militias of the local strongmen. That is what is happening. To dismiss unemployment as a real
Okay.
issue, I think is completely shocking. And I don't have the figures, but the figures are there to tell you that unemployment is growing. To say that everybody can become, just go out
Okay.
and, become a pakoda
Let me get
wala
in
or
Madhavan Narayanan's comment and then I'll get Varun Singh to respond to it. Yeah.
huh.
Yeah,
Madhavan
I
Narayanan,
think
please
One
go ahead.
other thing that I wish to say before I leave, the ones apart from this being a huge issue, the issue of the government's new scheme of 4-year in the army, the Agni Path scheme, came in for universal criticism across the
Agniveer.
state. Young people, old people, especially from the martial castes like Jats and Rajputs, those young men were looking forward to joining the army. Everybody brought it up. It wasn't an issue that I raised. It was an issue that spontaneously was
Okay.
raised by people I spoke to in the villages. They are so upset and they want the scheme to go. They say there's one big avenue of employment that we had that is gone. Because 4 years means nothing. After that, what
Okay.
do we come
Okay.
back with? 11 lakhs? There's no pension,
Okay.
nothing,
Important
no hope
points
of
made
another
there,
job.
Smita Gupta.
yeah.
Sure. Madhavan
Hello.
Narayanan, go ahead and then I get Varun Singh to respond to both of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, Shreya, I think we are focusing on the politics of it all today and not just the economics of it. So I distinguish between, let's say, Uttar Pradesh and
It's
Maharashtra and Tamil
intertwined,
Nadu
isn't
in
it?
various cases. Yeah, in Tamil Nadu, you can, being a delivery boy for Amazon or a Flipkart is considered very lowly now. Whereas in UP, it's considered a regular job. So because Tamil Nadu is going to close the current financial year with a GDP growth rate of 10.5% against the national average of 7%. So aspirations on what a job is differs from state to state. But in response to Varun Singh, all I can say is one thing: that livelihoods and self-employment can only go so far. and people do look for job security and industrial employment. So a lot of them, Make in India is a big slogan, but the jobs created by Make in India are not good enough. There have been objective surveys by the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, and even the NSS data doesn't show up that kind of jobs. Yes, people are not starving, that's for sure. Food grains are coming. And therefore, in a state like Uttar Pradesh, that's good enough because it's the Chalega state in some ways, because they have not seen other kinds of employment already. So they are still moving up the employment value chain slowly, whereas states, Maharashtra is above that, and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka are still above that. So aspirations keep on changing, and the voting behavior is dictated by the level of aspiration. Now, one thing I want to mention is that when the Ram Mandir was being built in Ayodhya, there were people who were saying that, the pujaris will get jobs, flower sellers will get jobs. That is true. Everything creates jobs, but the narrative of what in ILO, Indian International Labour Organization, calls the decent jobs is different. And politically speaking, I agree with Smita.
Okay.
But the point is, numerically, why I would concede a point to Varun Singh is that Varun Singh is correct about one thing. The kind of people who vote for BJP, who are sort of, just maybe high school walas or doing some small jobs, they love BJP because they've never seen any job before. And BJP has created that kind of low-end jobs on a large scale, thanks to overall, construction workers. You can go and build a highway. That kind of stuff is happening. And that's good for BJP, politically speaking, in Uttar Pradesh, not in other states.
Okay, we'll try and understand from Piyush Nawar as to, who votes for the BJP and who's inclined where. But Varun Singh, quickly respond, then I get Piyush in.
One thing I keep on saying, as a journalist for 20 years, when I used to be on field, my editors used to have a different opinion, and I used to have a different opinion because I was on the field and my editor used to sit in an AC room. That, Shreya, you also must be facing it. So let me just tell you a small thing. Uttar Pradesh, in terms of MSME, 20 lakh people were employed till 2021. The number has crossed more than 40 lakh employed persons with MSME in only Uttar Pradesh. Across the country, the number has doubled. And these are not numbers that I have created. This has come from the government data. So when people come and say, oh, MSME is not growing, I don't know what is the definition of MSME for them. MSME for me also includes everything where, just let me give you a small example. The thing that Congress in its manifesto mentioned about 1 lakh rupees it would give to most of the women is the same thing that the BJP government or the NDA government has been doing in case of Lakpati Didi. What it does is it helps women, it gives them skills and then provides them with loans up to 1 lakh rupees, where they can earn up to 1 lakh rupees a year. And that is what we are talking about. And this is, I remember in 2013, when the national executive of Bharatiya Janata Party was happening in Mumbai, a top leader used to tell us, Atalji used to always joke, Indira Gandhi used to say that BJP is a party of baniyas. And today, then Atalji used to say कि इंदिरा जी की हिंदी कमजोर है, हम कहते थे कि भैया भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सदस्य बनिए, तो उनको लगता था बनिए यानी बनिए कम्युनिटी हो गई, यानी businessmen once used to vote for the BJP. That is what the impression used to be. And even today, I don't know what kind of statement is it that people with low salary, people of the lower level are only voting for BJP. If that would have been the case, then I think जितना percentage of vote मिलता है भारतीय जनता पार्टी को, उस हिसाब से तो बहुत सारे लोग यहाँ पे low level होंगे, which is not the truth. Whereas the records clearly says that India today doesn't suffer from that kind of property.
Let's understand from Piyush, Varun, how India is voting, how Uttar Pradesh is voting. Piyush, help us understand. Also, the fact, Piyush, that Kaushambi, Barabanki and Mohanlalganj are 3 constituencies which are SC dominated. Help us understand how these constituencies vote as well as, of course, the Muslim vote there.
Shreya, first of all, on a serious note, or maybe on a lighter note, I want to we'll go back when you were showing that the criminal records of the candidates in UP. I was speaking to one of the senior leaders of Samajwadi Party, and he said, like in 2019 election, he said, कि अगर हम ज़्यादा criminal records वालों को टिकट देते, तो हम शायद से ज़्यादा better position में होते. So I think it is highly normalized in UP that if a candidate with a high criminal records, the winning chances will be higher. I don't know, because maybe they feel that they have a adequate muscle and money to win the election. So I'll come back to the question. So one thing what we have seen on the ground, yes, unemployment is an issue. Yes, if you go and check with the people, actually what's the major issue? They'll say unemployment, you have a corruption, महंगाई hai, yes, inflation is there. Then they say all the civic issues, development issues. But especially in UP, I want to point out that law and order जो कि सबसे बड़ा issue है, that major issues which people feel that BJP or Yogi government has solved it. So, and also the government is able to, successfully, they have, they have spread the narrative that law and order in UP is now okay. Like previously when it was ruled by Samajwadi Party or BSP, Mayawati ji, so law and order was not like good. So now it is fine. So वो narrative अभी बहुत strong है उनका. So this all issues like unemployment, corruption, or the development or inflation, वो सब suppress हो गया उसके अंदर. That is clearly seen. It's not like I would say across India. It's not just the issues. Also, the opposition party who raise the issues, they have to give the solution, which we have seen in the Karnataka. Karnataka election, this commission sarkara or 40% commission sarkara or the corruption, very well Congress ne jo apna DK Shivkumar and the Siddaramaiah ji, they have raised the issue very well and they won the election. But not in other states. Let's say if you see in Rajasthan, paper leak was a major issue.
Okay, so it's going to be interesting, Piyush, of course, to see how much of unemployment and corruption and law and order actually takes precedence over the Ram Mandir issue, for example. Okay. All right. We'll have to see how it really pans out. But I have to slip into a short break. After the break, we talk about the other regions that are going in voting in phase 5 of the Lok Sabha elections. West Bengal, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh. All of those interesting battles coming up on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Road to Lok Sabha 2024, our Mirror Now special on election, Lok Sabha, the great Indian election that is underway. And let's quickly now talk about West Bengal, that is going to polls in phase 5 of the Lok Sabha elections on the 20th of May. In fact, I will be joined by my colleague Shreya. She's joining us on the broadcast to help us understand the ground sentiment, what voters are concerned about. Let's quickly cut across to her. Shreya, you know, there has been a lot of concern regarding women's safety in West Bengal recently. There's also the CAA. There's, Sandesh Khali, of course, had taken center stage. All of these issues concerning people there. Help us understand what the voter is looking at this time around.
Well, right now we are inside the Jadavpur University campus and this place is filled with all first and second time voters. Now we are over 4 phases and as we move to the 5th phase of election, let me quickly go across to the voter and try to understand from them what will be the major issue for the state of West Bengal this time around. First, I want to come to you. You know, when we talk about the Citizenship Amendment Act, we have seen that there is a state versus center in that case. We have seen that, in fact, today Mamata Banerjee in a public rally have said that if you apply for CAA, in that case, you become, a foreigner, you'll be sent to detention camp. How do you look at this? Do you think that this is going to be a major poll factor this time around?
I vehemently oppose this Citizenship Amendment Act in the very first place, the 11th March 2024 when it was finally implemented. I believe that it totally goes against the principles of equality and religious non-discrimination. But I also believe that the opposition should not just be because I have to oppose somebody in power. It should have been from 2019 when it was finally passed. So I think all opposition parties or anybody in general should be vehemently opposing it. I'm not very sure how much truth it holds that you'll be sent to detention camps. Yes, there has been cases like we have seen in the Northeast where religious minorities, especially Muslims, they have been deliberately debarred. But I feel that everybody who's opposing it, please oppose it for the sake of opposing it and not just as a part of election campaign. That is what I feel. So I would keep that in mind while casting my vote.
Well, I want to come to you with another question. Since you're a woman voter, tell me how much big factor will Sandesh Khali be? We have been seeing that the Sandesh Khali row has been going on ever since, and women's safety is a question in the state of West Bengal. So do you think Sandesh Khali is going to play against the TMC this time around?
I think it's not just Sandesh Khali. I think Bilkis Bano will also play a very big factor when I am casting my vote, because in a country where justice is delivered so late, I'll definitely keep that in mind. So I think it's both the state and the centre to be blamed for it. It's anybody who's in power who's to be blamed for women's safety especially. So as a woman voter, I would definitely be scared at the current situation of the country, and I'll keep that in mind when I vote.
Okay, I want to also come to you with this quick question. When I say appeasement versus polarization, what comes to your mind and how big a factor you think this is going to be this time around?
Competitive communalism can never be good for any sort of country or electorate, especially when the elections are going on. I feel that religion and politics should always be separate. In the case that we are seeing all sorts of political parties and candidates are leading big rallies during the Ram Navami celebrations that happened in West Bengal. And I think 10 years is a very long time for any party that has been in power to sort of, go to the electorate and convey their achievements instead of doing narrow dog whistling and, dividing into communal lines and calling a particular religion by its names. I think that is something that should be avoided. I think it's been 10 long years and the country expects BJP to talk on the lines of development. That is the agenda. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is what they came into this country as a whole.
So, of course, as you can hear, they are very much against polarization, says that after holding government for such a long time, it is the Ram Mandir issue which the BJP is talking about.
Right, Shreya, thank you very much for joining us with those voices from the ground. Young voters, of course, voicing their concerns this Lok Sabha election. But let me also quickly shift our focus to Jammu and Kashmir, where the constituency of Baramulla is going to vote in phase 5 on the 20th of May. In fact, my colleague Yavar is joining us from there. Yavar, help us understand the issues that people are looking at in phase 5. What are they concerned about? What will they think about when they go out to vote? What will be their concerns?
Well, exactly. This is the fifth phase of the polls in the Kashmir Valley and Baramulla constituency, which is the hot, seat for the elections when it comes to the Lok Sabha. It was the main three. Now the vice president of the National Conference, Omar Abdullah, is going to be in the fray, along with the People's Conference, Sajjad Ghani Lone, and the independent candidate, Engineer Rashid. We have some of the voters, some of the people who are joining us right now, right from the heart of the Srinagar city. That's the Lal Chowk. We will try to have a word with them. First of all, let's have a word with this young boy, that how they are witnessing these polls. क्या डिमांड्स इस बार रहेगी, क्योंकि यूटी में ये पहला ऐसा इलेक्शन हो रहा है जो कि जनरल है. इस बार कितनी उम्मीद है इस इलेक्शन को लेकर? क्या क्या ऐसी चीजें हैं जो एनहांस होनी चाहिए?
देखिए, बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने कि 2019 के बाद ये पहला इलेक्शन है, और इससे पहले जो इलेक्शन होते थे कहीं ना कहीं अपने तरीके से होते, लेकिन इस बार लोगों की जो एक्सपेक्टेशन है वो बहुत ही ज्यादा है, क्योंकि 2019 के बाद बहुत सारी चीजें बदली, चाहे सियासी तौर पर देखे या समाजी तौर पर देख रहे हैं. खासकर आप देखिए इस वक्त बिजली का बहरान इस वक्त आप देख रहे हैं. बिजली यहाँ से जनरेट होती है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी आप देखिए बिजली यहाँ पे मैसर नहीं होती है. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जो बिल्स है उसमें लगातार इजाफा हो रहा है. बिजली है नहीं, स्मार्ट मीटर्स लग रहे हैं. उसके साथ साथ आपको याद होगा कि प्रॉपर्टी टैक्स जो कि पहले तस्वुर ही नहीं किया था जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों ने, अब उसको भी लगाया जा रहा है. तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारी जो डिमांड्स है या जो सारे लोगों की जो डिमांड्स है, कम से कम एक जो इस वक्त मुश्किलात है, एसेंशियल कमोडिटीज के आप रेट्स देखिए या बाकी चीजें जो खाने पीने की, उसमें इजाफा हो रहा है. महंगाई काफी ज्यादा है, इन्फ्लेशन में किसी तरह की कोई कादगर नहीं है. तो कम से कम लोग जो है इस चीज में थोड़ी बहुत राहत चाहते हैं कि जो रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में हमें मुश्किलात आ रही है इसमें थोड़ा बहुत ईज आउट हो. फिर वोट डालना दूसरी बात है या कौन जीतेगा, लेकिन कम से कम उम्मीद है ये जिस कैंडिडेट को हम आगे करना चाहते हैं वो कम से कम इन चीजों पे बात करे ताकि जो एक ईज आउट है वो आम लोगों को मिले.
There should be a candidate who can ease out the problems. One more young, voter is joining us. क्या क्या उम्मीद है इस इलेक्शन को लेकर? 2019 के बाद पहला ऐसा इलेक्शन हो रहा है.
देखिए, उम्मीदें तो बहुत ज़्यादा हैं, लेकिन सबसे पहली बात तो खुशी इस बात की है कि एक तवील अरसे के बाद इंतखाबात यहाँ पर हो रहे हैं. 5 अगस्त 2019 के बाद जिस तरह की सूरत हाल बनी हुई थी और हमने तसव्वुर भी नहीं किया था कि हमें कभी हमारे यहाँ पर इंतखाबात होंगे. अब एक्सपेक्टेशंस यही हैं, हम चाहते हैं कोई ऐसा नुमाइंदा जो पार्लियामेंट में जाए और हमारी जो मुश्किलात हैं, जो तकालीफ हैं, जो शायद बाहर का कोई यहाँ पर अगर ऑफिसर है या बाहर का कोई बैरून रियासत का कोई यहाँ पर हुकूमत करता है तो उस तक हम वो मैसेज कन्वे नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. तो हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा अपना कोई बंदा हो जो पार्लियामेंट में जाए, हमारी मिजरीज को वहाँ पर उजागर करे और समझ कर वो उस तरह का रोड मैप मरकज़ के सामने रख पाए ताकि उन चीज़ों का अजाला हो सके। अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट की अगर बात करें उस ताल्लुक से बात आगे पहुँचाने की ज़रूरत है। इसी तरह
अगर हम बात करें जम्मू कश्मीर के साथ लद्दाख भी एक हिस्सा हुआ करता था, अब जो सेपरेट यूनियन टेरिटरी है और 5th फेज में वो भी इलेक्शंस में जा रहे हैं क्योंकि एक ही सीट है वहाँ पर, तो क्या लगता है आपको कि दोनों साइड से इंटरेस्टिंग होगा, लद्दाख की साइड से भी?
हाँ, इंटरेस्टिंग तो तीनों साइड से है, बल्कि तो हम तो यही चाहते हैं कि जिस तरह जम्मू कश्मीर जिस तरह पहले पूरा का पूरा था, जिसमें जम्मू था, कश्मीर था, अनंतनाग, और जो अनंतनाग है एक ही रियासत हुआ करती थी, और वज़ीर दाखिला ने जिस तरीके से या प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने जिस तरह से हमारे साथ वादा किया है कि रियासती दर्जा हम बहाल करेंगे, तो एक्सपेक्टेशंस यही हैं कि पार्लियामेंट के जो इलेक्शंस हैं जैसे ही ये मुकम्मल हो जाएंगे उसके बाद स्टेटहुड रिस्टोर किया जाएगा और उसके बाद यहाँ पर असेंबली इंतखाबात कराए जाएंगे, और स्टेटहुड में लद्दाख को हमारे साथ अलग ना किया जाएगा बल्कि हम एक ही तरह जोड़ के हमें रखा जाएगा जैसे हम पिछली हुकूमतों में यहाँ पर रह रहे थे।
So these were the voices from the Kashmir Valley that besides the Lok Sabha polls, there should also be the state assembly elections that would be on card, and the other side can be reflected as there should be the common concern for the common people, that there are the inflation, there are the other things that are the unemployment. They should be rectified on the very swift ground. That's what the candidate is all about. Who is going to be assigned to the parliament? Back to you.
Absolutely, Yavar. Thank you very much, Yavar, for getting us those voices from the ground, voters voicing their concerns. But, Yavar talked about Ladakh. Madhavan Narayanan, let me understand from you, Ladakh is important. Baramulla is an important seat that is going to polls this time around. But Ladakh is important in terms of the kind of protest that we have seen in the Union Territory in the past few months from Sonam Wangchuk demanding that statehood that the government has promised. In fact, we just heard a voter in Jammu and Kashmir as well talking about statehood. That perhaps is going to be one of the major issues that will dominate in phase 5?
Yeah, I think, Shreya, again, like I said about Maharashtra, in Jammu and Kashmir also, you have to divide it into 3 regions: the Buddhist Ladakh, the predominantly Hindu Jammu region, and predominantly Muslim Kashmir region. And Ladakh is particularly worrying because apart from the autonomy or statehood demand, it's a border state. As you know, after the Chinese occupied big sections of the Ladakh, enclave, there is a security fear because, it's Ladakh is as good as Tibet in terms of culture and in contiguousness with Tibet. And to that extent, both cultural fears as well as other economic issues and administrative issues are part of the whole thing. As you know, Funsuk, what's his name? Sonam, he protested, and there was, both Manipur and Ladakh should be bigger national issues, but are not the way things are in India. And to that extent, it will affect the local voting pattern. And unlike Manipur, Ladakh is as good as unanimous on this issue. That's very important. Although they do not,
Okay.
I don't consider Ladakh to be affiliated to any one particular party or anything. But Ladakh is a very critical issue and it deserves central attention. And to that extent, voting patterns will matter. As far as Kashmir is concerned, I think it remains the same as far as elections are concerned in terms of a certain amount of cynicism. But I like the idea that they are discussing electricity and economic issues instead of the usual separatism-related issues and culture. So to that extent, we have to wait, and particularly
the
if there
focus
is
perhaps is now shifted to developmental issues. That clearly needs to be the major concern when you go out to vote. But let me also quickly shift our focus now to Bihar, Jharkhand and Odisha, the 3 other states that are going to polls in phase 5. These are crucial states. Bihar, let's start with Bihar. Bihar has 5 seats going to polls. Varun Singh, how do you see that really panning out? I want to understand from you, Varun, how you see this battle really panning out, for, of course, Chirag Paswan, who's perhaps looking to take forward his father's legacy this time around.
Oh, beautiful question. Because, in Bihar, I have seen many people not talking about Chirag Paswan. Everyone, most of the elderly journalists are still stuck with Tejasvi Yadav, Lalu Prasad Yadav's son and the deputy CM. While in Chirag Paswan, he might not have many seats over there, hardly few, seats that his party is contesting. You can count them on the fingers.
Yeah.
But the kind of attention he is garnering, the kind of attention the Prime Minister is giving him, the kind of attention even the BJP state leaders are trying to give to him, and he has been protected the way by the BJP. It is a clear sign that Chirag Paswan is a leader that is of importance in Bihar, other than the other many leaders we talk about. The seats that are going to the poll, you have to understand, in the last few days, while almost all the senior leaders from every party are campaigning, standing on the dais and talking, you have a leader from the RJD. I just pray that his health gets better. He's seen as unwell, and that is also sending a very strong message amongst many of the voters. I have many friends from Bihar, and have spoken to them. Even the place where I'm sitting, it belongs to a Bihari, and that is one thing the Biharis always talk about: "Ek Bihari, sab pe bhari," and they always, talk about the image that people carry. And Bihar politics is more about that. And that is one thing I feel the RJD, with the lack of campaigning the way it should have been done, are on a losing ground this time. And the JDU and the Bharatiya Janata Party are on a comfortable ground.
Talking about image,
successful.
Varun, let me take this question to Piyush. Piyush, in Bihar, there is a lot of concern, of course, about this image of Nitish Kumar being quote-unquote Palturam. But does that sort of dominate the on-ground issues when people, go out and vote? Are they looking at employment and other on-ground issues, or are they also factoring in the fact that Nitish Kumar has been jigsawing between two political parties?
Sherry, first thing, yes, Nitish Kumar actually, in fact, like somewhat his image is tarnished now, maybe because, his tendency to keep changing the parties. But also, people feel that, there's a fatigue factor is also there. Like, I think he's a 5-time CM of, 3 times or 4 times CM. So there's a fatigue factor, and people are also looking for a new face. So maybe in the next state election, my personal opinion, and even we see in the data, Nitish Kumar's impact will be less, and I don't know about his political career, but yes, Tejasvi Yadav is on rise. But I can only comment on the state election. Lok Sabha election, yes. BJP, as my fellow panelists said, BJP is quite comfortable. BJP, JDU, and LJP. That alliance is quite comfortable. But yeah, one thing I want to say that BJP is a single largest party there. If JDU is needed, like, because BJP needed JDU because now JDU have some, let's say, 10 to 12% vote share that is BJP is getting and the NDA is winning. Otherwise, BJP still without JDU could have done fine.
Okay. I have paucity of time and I have to talk about Jharkhand and Odisha as well. Smita Gupta, how do you see Jharkhand panning out? What do you think would be the concerns? Of course, employment, I think one of the biggest concerns has been employment across all seats. But in Jharkhand, 3 seats going to polls in phase 5. How do you see that moving forward?
Well, currently, all those 3 seats are held by the BJP. So the BJP is in a strong position. I have not visited Jharkhand, so I'm not familiar with the issues on ground. But it is certainly a stronghold of the BJP, and unless it gets influenced by what is happening in Bihar, because in Bihar there is a bit of a churn with Nitish Kumar having gone back to the BJP and Tejasvi Yadav sort of being in focus. So unless it is influenced by the politics of Bihar, Jharkhand should, still remain with the BJP. There is also Odisha, which I think is going to see a very interesting election. Of the seats that are going to the polls on Monday, 3 are held by the BJP and 2 by the Biju Janata Dal. The Biju Janata Dal, as we know, has held very, very strongly to the state, and Naveen Patnaik has kind of towered over all politicians for a long time. But the BJP has been making huge inroads, and this election will show us whether there is going to be any change, because we don't see any successor to Naveen Patnaik.
Okay, let me take this across to Madhavan Narayanan and in fact get his closing comments now that I have to wrap this up quickly. Madhavan Narayanan, Odisha is, an interesting battle that's going to be panning out, BJP versus the BJD. And every day we see this political war of words that's been coming up between the two parties. Naveen Patnaik, of course, on to becoming, the longest serving chief minister. I think in August is when he will become that. But, how do you see this this fight really moving forward in the state?
Since you want me to give the closing comments, Shreya, let me sum up on all three states that we've discussed. In Bihar, the thing to watch out for is whether there is a Nitish Kumar fatigue, and especially his own loyal Kurmi caste voters are shifting or not, because there have been conversations about that, because job-related issues have been played up by Tejasvi Yadav, and we should look out for that swing, because otherwise 80% of Bihar politics is caste. As far as Jharkhand, very similarly, the arrest of Hemant Soren will probably evoke, that's what his supporters say, the tribal loyalties against Hindi heartland party like BJP. And to that extent, we should see whether the BJP has managed to sway this tribal sentiment or not. I have no opinion either way, because I haven't studied it closely or been there of late. Now, Odisha is the most interesting, because the simple fact is that Naveen Patnaik seems to have delivered on two opposing or rather contrasting grounds. One is the industrial development of a one kind based on minerals and even IT. On the other hand, he's taking care of tribal areas which are once considered to be the poorest in India, and along with things like making India hockey a superpower again. So Naveen Patnaik's charisma is very, very strong, but his anointing a Tamilian like V.K. Pandian as a successor has led to BJP playing on the Odia sentiment culturally, and this is the first time it will be tested on the ground. Mr. Pandian says he's Indian by birth and Odia by breath. And that's a very interesting rhetorical statement to watch. And what Odisha's voters think about this will be crucially followed. But my assessment is that although the BJP has made significant inroads, Odisha is very strong, because Naveen Patnaik is a more towering figure in Odisha than, let's say, Modi is in all of India.
Okay, we'll have to see how these battles really pan out. I'll have to wrap it up there. Madhavan Narayanan, Smita Gupta, Piyush Tawar and Varun Singh, thank you very much to all of you for joining us on Road to Lok Sabha on Mirror Now and sharing your thoughts. Thank you very much. With that, it's a wrap on Road to Lok Sabha. Of course, Phase 5 is on the 20th of May. We'll have to see how these battles really pan out. But on Mirror Now, we will keep getting you the latest on-ground reports and election analysis as this Lok Sabha election completes its 7 phases. Thank you very much for joining us right now. Bye-bye.